Hello friends, Jolly Green Studios coming at you here with a little car audio how-to video. Something different today. Um, the vehicle I'm working on here is my 2004 Nissan Sentra, 1.8 liter engine in it. So either if you're working on the same vehicle with a big 3 upgrade, or you're just looking for a video to get some more insight on the big 3 upgrade in general, that's why I'm doing this. So the things I'm going to cover here, you probably already know what a big 3 upgrade is and why if you're coming across this video, so I'm not going to go over that. I'm going to cover the tools that you need, I'm going to cover the connections that you need, and I'm going to cover where I run my wire, so that maybe it can help you do the same if you're working with the same or similar sort of setup here. Okay, so first things first, you are going to need some tools. And the first thing you're going to need obviously is wire. That's important. I got some certified bass head wire here from Down for Sound, and I can't speak for the longevity or anything like that. I don't know a whole lot about wire, but it seems like it's really good quality. It's some 100% OFC zero gauge. It's oversized, I believe. It's real easy and it's real flexible, man. Like, this stuff is, you can just bend it with a couple of fingers, so you don't have to try to like gank it all over the place trying to get it in. That's really helpful. So anyway, find you some zero gauge nice wire, preferably OFC for this, and then you're gonna need you some connectors, which are obviously right here, and I'll show you what those guys look like. I have one in my pocket here. This is what they look like. These are copper lug ring terminal connectors. Anyway, yeah, those go on the end of your wires. Probably already know that. Anyway, so what else you're going to need here is going to be a crimper for those. That's what this guy is right here. If you don't have one of these, they're pretty inexpensive for a shitty one like this. It's called a wire crimper for zero gauge wire, or bigger size wires, because the little ones ain't going to do you for that. If you don't have one of those and you do not want to afford one, or wait for one to come in the mail or whatever have you, you can use a hammer and a screwdriver, and just kind of set the connection on there and just bang away on it with the screwdriver, using it like a crimper. Anyway, you're also going to need some wire cutters that'll cut through zero gauge wire. These are pretty hefty ones. So yeah, they'll slice through that like butter. You're going to need you a socket for taking off, your battery posts and your bolts, stuff like that. A razor knife for stripping the wire, and some good old zip ties for putting your wire in place. You also need some heat shrink to go on the end of your wires like that. Cover them up nicely. Anyway, start with the connections here. First thing you're going to want to do is unconnect your battery. You're going to want to take your positive and your negative off of your battery, so that nothing's going on there in case you fuck something up and accidentally touch some metal in this process. You're not going to spark anything or nothing like that. Anyway, so yeah, disconnect your battery. And then the first connection that I did was the negative ones. What you're going to have is a total of 3 connections. You're going to have one negative one that's going to go to the chassis of the vehicle. And then you're going to have another negative. This has a red one on it. Excuse that, I colored it black. I had the wrong color. This is another negative that goes to your engine mount. So it's going to be connected to the actual motor of the car. So you have one ground on the chassis and one ground on the actual motor of the car. And then you're going to have your power wire coming from your positive to the positive on your alternator. In my case, my alternator is right down here, right below the engine on the left side. So there are multiple places that you can make these connections, except for obviously this positive on the alternator. You're going to have that right there. There's no second place for that. But as far as this motor mount connection, you can put that on this guy here if you want. The alternator bracket. If you have another bolt around here, you want to use something that's connected to the motor. I just use this one because it's easy, it's convenient, it's right there, and it's already being used as a ground for the alternator. And so you're just going to find a place where you have a bolt like that that's going to hold that in nice and sturdy and ground it to your engine. And then the other ground I have going to the chassis of the vehicle here, I actually found a hole. See on the right side here by the battery and the firewall of the Nissan, there's actually a couple of holes here that are threaded. And so I put a self-tapping screw in there, and I shine that metal off with just a wire wheel on a drill, so that you want that metal nice and shiny so that there's a good connection there. You get all that paint off. So anyway, yeah, I just got that on there with a self-tapping screw, and that's going to the negative of the battery. It's a very short connection, just goes from there to there, less than 12 inches. And then the second negative is going from the battery here, and that's going to the motor mount here. And the way that I have all this run is I have it run from the negative, and then I have it going to this mounting bracket of the bracket on the, what do you call it, radiator, zip tied there, and underneath the radiator hose and away from the cap, because these two things generate heat. You want to keep your wire away from any potential heat sources. And then I have it zip tied to this thingamabob here. This doesn't get hot, but this does, and this does, obviously. So you want to keep your wire away from that. You can see here I have my wire floating a couple inches above any hot surfaces, and then that's going right there to the engine mount. And then the power wire is going from the alternator here, and I have it zip tied to this this line here, because I believe this is an air conditioning line, and this is it doesn't get hot, is my point. When the car is running, this doesn't get hot. So I have the wire zip tied to here. You want to find something that's not going to get hot to zip tie it to. And then I have it run along here, zip tied again to the back end of that, and then it's up to this little bracket here, zip tied in there, nice and snug, so it's not going anywhere. And then I have it run along here over this. This is the back end of that, this hose here, and then I have it zip tied to that as well, because that hose doesn't get hot. This hose here, it doesn't get hot, so it's zip tied there. And then it comes along here to the air filter. I have it zip tied zippity doo-dah here on the air filter bracket, and then it comes right along here to the positive on the battery, and it's floating above anything that can get hot, any potential heat sources. You know, it's not interfering with anything. There's no moving parts that your wire is caught in. That's the main thing. You don't want your wire, you know, getting caught in any fucking radiator fan or something like that while you're driving down the road, or getting hot and melting, because that's just a no-no. If you're unsure, one thing I'd recommend is to have a fuse on your positive wire that actually at the alternator is I believe you'd want it at the alternator, right about here. So if you're worried about your wire getting hot or shorting out or something like that, you'll want to have a fuse on it. I don't have a fuse on it because I don't think it's necessary, but that's just me. You know, take that with a grain of salt and do your fusing how you see fit. But anyway, yeah, that's the connections you need, and that's how I have my wire run. So hopefully this can help you out in the future, and you know, help somebody at least maybe have the same vehicle or looking for places to run wire, give you some insight on it. Until next time, this is Jolly Green Studios signing out. Peace.